This is an interview with Ben Cormack. He's working about exercise and pain. I'm going to ask you a few questions for you patients.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to say it a little bit in Hebrew.
Okay, you can do that. I'm not going to understand it, but she can do it.
Okay. זה בן קומק, הוא פיזיותרפיסט שמתעסק בתנועה ופעילות גופנית וכאב, ואני אשאל אותו כמה שאלות בנושא כאב וטיפול. How are you?
I agree. I'm great. I've just talked today over here in Tel Aviv. I'm slightly sweaty. It's been intense that you guys have worked me hard.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, and I want to ask you about pain and exercise.
Okay, it's a subject that I know a little bit about.
Good. And if I have pain, why should I exercise? It's painful.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes that we have to appreciate that exercise can have a positive effect on pain. Sometimes it can be more painful. But what we have to understand is that what happens in the beginning isn't what will happen forever. So lots of people, have positive responses, that it might be painful in the beginning and that it can improve. I think it's really important that if you have pain, we understand that, exercise isn't a magic bullet. And it's not going to be perfect for everybody. But I think we've got some decent research and evidence that tells us that, it doesn't always have to be exercise. It can be activity, it can be, dancing, it could be all these different things. It could be playing with your kids. That people need to be a little bit more active, and this has a really, really positive effect. And sometimes it can be painful, but I think that pain can change.
Okay, so if I have a chronic pain, what should I do tomorrow? Should I go out dancing or running, or what should I do?
So I think that what you should do is think about what you enjoy doing.
Okay.
So I think the first port of call is saying, what do I enjoy doing? What means something to me? What have I stopped doing because I've got pain? So I think, we have to think about getting back to some of the things that we love, that we enjoy. But what would I tell you to do tomorrow? I'd say find something, but I'd say just take it easy.
What does it mean, take it easy?
So, do we have to go back to doing it in the way that we did it before? It's better that we just go back to doing it. Is 5 minutes walking good if you're not doing anything? And I think sometimes we can make the mistake of going back and doing things exactly the same way we did before, in the same intensities, and that might not work for us. But we need to find something that, we find beneficial, and that might take some experimentation, that we can, say, let's start off small, let's build. It can be great just to get back to doing something. Don't forget that just because you start off small doesn't mean you can build. It doesn't mean you can't build.
Okay, so is there any specific exercise that is better than the others? Because people are talking about Pilates and others talk about cross-fitness and running. And
so let me put it this way. If you're a runner, you're probably going to enjoy going running. If you're a non-runner, running might be absolute like the end of the world. So again, I think it's that there isn't this singular thing. So I say if it doesn't hurt that much and you enjoy doing it, do it. Could that be Pilates? Great, fantastic. Could it be running? Could it be doing whatever? It doesn't matter. Does it, so do you enjoy doing it? Can you start off slow and ease yourself in? What response do you get from it? And so if it makes you feel good, do more of it.
Okay. And some people said that if you do like vigorous exercises like running and cycling, and it hurts your knees and it hurts your back because it's wear and tear, and it's very, very dangerous. You should stop doing these exercises. Like if you have a bad knee, you should stop running because it's going to hurt your knee.
So I think we've got two things here. We've got research, which is aiming to be free of opinion. It doesn't always do that. And then we've got, opinion and what we've got classically with Dr. Internet and all these other things. The basic bottom line from what we've actually researched and looked at in controlled scientific studies, and there's a number of these in different areas of our body, we know that runners, their knees, their meniscuses, etc., are no different to people who don't run. Okay, we know that the invertebral discs of runners are no worse than the invertebral discs of people who don't run. We know that knee osteoarthritis, the most beneficial thing we can do is exercise.
Really?
Yeah, oh absolutely, by far and away. If you were to get me a graph up, I'm a science dude, I like graphs, if we were to get a graph up of all the data that we have, and I teach some of this, so I have that graph, if we were to look at it, we would see head and shoulders exercise is the best rehabilitation that we have for the measures that we're looking at for knee osteoarthritis.
But what happens if I have a tear in my shoulder? I've got a rotator cuff tear.
We got some
it's very scary.
Of course it is, but actually movement heals the body. You know, what's a great example of that? If I go to the gym, what happens to my bicep? I work it, it gets bigger. We adapt. We're very good at that. So again, if someone had, say, osteoporosis, a weakening of the bones, we're fine with saying, go ahead, start loading your bodies, and it makes your bones denser, and it's good for us. We know that astronauts go into space, they don't have any load on their body, they get very unhealthy. Load is good for us. We adapt, we change, we build muscle, we get fitter.
So
and
even if I have a tear in my muscle, in my shoulder, I need to exercise?
Activity is not, there isn't a relationship between activity and the tear progression.
Oh, really?
No, and we know that was a recent study done back in 2017 or 16. So that it wasn't predictive of the tear getting worse. So in fact, it might provide an impetus, you know, in the same way I exercise and my, you know, the parts of my body come along and they repair my body. So we have little fibroblastic-like cells, and their real job is to make my muscles bigger. In fact, I load my body, it might tell those little cells to come in and start doing their job, which is to repair the tear, which is to make my muscle bigger and stronger.
Okay. Are there other benefits for exercise?
God, you know there is. We know. No, totally, but they know as well, right? So, do we want to improve health, cardiovascular ability? Do we
what
want
about pain-wise?
Well, actually, again, we know that this isn't always true for people with persisting pain, but we also know that activity, for many people, actually makes us better at pain killing. You know, one thing that maybe people who aren't into pain don't know is that we have naturally occurring chemicals that are pain killing. They're what we describe as endogenous opioids. Endogenous describes mean in my body. You know, and opioids, well, they're pain killing. If you go to the doctor, you can get opioids or what have you. So we have these naturally occurring chemicals in our body.
But what happens?
And exercise activates those systems.
And what happens if I didn't do exercise for a really, really long time and I hate it? Can I come out of pain?
Well, I think it can have an. I think that we have to learn that it could be positive for us.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about exercise is I hate exercise. I do it. I don't say I always enjoy it, but I enjoy the effects. Okay. So sometimes being active and being physical and getting back to doing things is really important. You don't always have to enjoy it. You don't enjoy having pain, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to do something else that gets us out of pain to some degree. Now, I don't want this to come across as it's a magic bullet, you know, moving and exercising. It doesn't even need to be exercise. Could it be playing? Could it be sport? You know, there's so many forms of physical activity, and it doesn't have to be this vision of sweat and headbands and dancing and gym and all these other things, you know.
Is there a correct way to do something?
Well, actually, the more we study people, the more we realise how many people do different things. So, great example, go to the gym, stand behind the treadmills. Everyone will be running slightly differently. No one runs a carbon copy of each other. We have different bone lengths, we have different muscles, we have all these, we have similar muscles, they're just different sizes and strengths and all these other things. But human beings are distinctly different from each other. We look different, we talk different, you know, some are smarter, some are handsome. I struggle on both of those fronts. And people naturally are different, and a movement isn't really any different either. So I think we put too much fear into people when it comes to exercise and moving, and you're doing it wrong and that could be a problem. You know, there's a huge buffer zone of moving and being able to move and it being okay.
So if I'm doing an exercise like a squat and it's painful for my knee, should I stop? Should I change it? What am I supposed to do?
Could we change it for another exercise? Could I do a lunge? Could I change the way that I squat? Might be that you're loading through the knees a bit more. We could sit back into the hips. Does that change the response I get? Absolutely.
Okay, but if my instructor tell me you have to do it that way or the other way because that's...
Sack your instructor. Right? Exercise has to work for us individually.
Okay.
So we have to feel...
There's a formal protocol.
I think there are guidelines, but within those guidelines we have individual people. And I think you have to appreciate you are an individual and you don't fit into any kind of movement box. A good instructor won't stop you from being variable. A good instructor will say, move naturally, move in a way that feels good.
Okay.
A bad instructor will give you too many instructions.
What is variable? I'm
So,
not sure they know.
So when I talk about being variable, I mean, is it okay to move your bum a little bit to one side, or the knees to go into some different positions, or the hips to do some different things? These are just natural variations that we have in our body of the way we move. They're normal, they're healthy.
So asymmetry is...
Asymmetry is normal, totally normal. So if you were to take my face, you would see one side is different from the other. My right bicep is different to my left bicep.
Okay.
Okay, so my right quads are different to my left quads.
So I'm not supposed to be symmetrical?
You would be abnormal. Okay? If you were totally symmetrical, people would look at you like you were strange.
Okay.
Alright, so we are asymmetrical, variable creatures.
So my goal as coming back to exercise is not to be symmetrical, is it to be stronger?
Not really. I think it's to enjoy moving and using your body. Doesn't mean that you can't get stronger. It just means that it doesn't have to be the thing that we go after. So you could get stronger and not get out of pain, or you could not get stronger and reduce your pain. They don't have a linear relationship. So could it be that you enjoy getting back to moving and you build your confidence and you want to get stronger? That would be perfect.
Do you have any kind of idea how, if I don't do anything and I've got really low motivation and I sit all day at home because I'm very, very painful, do you have something advice to give me how to make me do something?
So I think we need to think about, increasing our, sometimes we just need to get up and get back to it. And I understand there's a lot more to it than that. So I don't want to suggest that it's easy or it's simple. But I think some people always feel that they have to get back to something constructed or, some level of this or that, or they have to go and do a certain thing. Just doing anything. If you don't use the stairs more. If you drive to the shop, walk to the shop. Something that just increases your activity, that makes that you get out there and do some stuff. It can be really small. It doesn't have to be very large. Just get out there, do something. And what you find is it rolls, right? Like the stone rolls and it picks up stuff along the way and gets bigger. That I start off doing a little bit and I think, you know what, that was okay. And I do a little bit more and it's okay. So it doesn't have to start off big, it can start off small and build.
So what happens with my slip disc or my meniscus or my tear? If I exercise, what will happen?
Well, if we look at the human body as being adaptable, and we know that because we work the bicep, it gets bigger, it gets stronger. We know that human beings are adaptable. I think we have to understand that more activity doesn't simply equal degeneration or changes within our body. In fact, one of the biggest things that they've shown to do with that is genetics. There's not a lot we can do about it. But fantastically, they've also shown that degeneration and pain have a very poor relationship as well. So it makes sense from one perspective that our bodies are crumbling away and falling apart, and that more activity will actually damage them more. But we're not a bit of metal, we're not a piece of dead meat, we're not some bricks. We're adaptable organisms that grow and build, and if I exercise, my lungs get bigger, and my heart gets bigger, and my muscles get bigger. We're fine with that. But we look at our body and we say, oh no, it's degenerating. So we look at our body in different perspectives. Realistically, we need to appreciate we are adaptable. Some of us are adaptable at different rates. We need to respect that. But essentially, I think we need a message that says activity is good. You don't have to be a weightlifter. You don't have to be a gymnast. Doing something is better than doing nothing. Building up along the way is fantastic. And the thing that you're most scared about probably won't happen.
Thank you. And I think it's a very good message too.
I hope so, and I hope someone who it resonates with someone out there. I really do.
Okay, so get up and keep moving. Yeah. Thank you. תודה רבה.